All right, wildfire enthusiasts and future policymakers, especially those gearing up for the UPSC exams. This one's for you.
Right.
We're diving deep into a potential game changer in wildfire defense.
Okay.
You know those recent fires in Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah.
Heartbreaking, right?
Absolutely.
Well, imagine a system that could detect and extinguish wildfires before they even have a chance to spread.
Wow.
Sounds like science fiction.
Yeah.
It's not.
Really?
An Israeli startup called FireDome is developing a system inspired by, get this, the Iron Dome.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
The Iron Dome, as you likely know, is a missile defense system renowned for its accuracy in intercepting rockets.
Right.
FireDome aims to bring that same level of precision and rapid response to the fight against wildfires, and the need for such a solution is more urgent than ever.
For sure, we see these devastating fires popping up all over the globe. But just how big of a problem were we talking about here?
The scale is truly staggering. Just last year, wildfires burned through nearly 1 billion acres worldwide. And the financial cost, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars globally.
Oh, wow.
With estimates suggesting the U.S. alone could be facing a bill as high as $900 billion, according to a U.S. Congress study.
Wow.
And tragically, over 250 lives were lost.
Oh, my goodness.
Those numbers really highlight the urgency of finding effective solutions, and FireDome is stepping up to the challenge.
So who are the brains behind FireDome?
Okay.
What's their background?
The company was founded in 2024 by Gadi Benjamini, an Israeli military veteran, and Dr. Adi Ner Pomerantz, a scientist.
Interesting.
Their combined expertise in defense and technology seems like a potent mix for tackling a problem as complex as wildfire prevention, and they've attracted some serious talent.
Okay.
One name that really jumps out is Pinchas Youngman.
Okay. That name doesn't ring a bell, should it?
He's a bit of a legend in defense circles.
Okay.
Youngman was one of the key architects behind the Iron Dome and another Israeli defense system called David's Sling. Having someone with his level of experience on board certainly adds weight to FireDome's ambitions.
Okay, color me intrigued, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Sure.
How does this wildfire-fighting Iron Dome actually work? I'm having trouble picturing a missile defense system tackling a raging forest fire.
Yeah, it's not about launching missiles at flames, thankfully.
Okay, good.
FireDome utilizes a two-tiered system.
Okay.
That's all about early detection and rapid response.
Okay.
The first tier focuses on creating a protective barrier.
Okay, so how do they do that? Are we talking about some kind of giant firewalls?
Think of it more like strategically placed fire extinguishers with a much wider reach.
Okay.
They're setting up stationary launchers around vulnerable areas, like neighborhoods, vineyards, or resorts.
Okay.
When a wildfire approaches these launchers, release capsules filled with an eco-friendly fire retardant.
So they're cutting the fire off at the pass before it can even reach those high-value targets.
Precisely, these capsules burst upon impact, creating a line of defense. That can significantly slow down or even stop the advancing flames. But as we all know, wildfires can be unpredictable.
Right.
Embers can fly over barriers and ignite spot fires in seemingly safe areas. That's where Tier 2 comes in.
So what's their strategy for tackling those sneaky embers? More fire retardant.
It's actually far more sophisticated than that. They're bringing in the big guns, artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
Tier 2 is all about an AI-powered system that utilizes computer vision and a network of sensors to constantly monitor the protected area.
So it's always watching.
Yeah. If an ember sparks a new fire, the system can automatically pinpoint its location and deploy targeted extinguishers.
Wow. So it's like having a hyper-vigilant guardian angel watching over these areas 24/7.
Right.
But we know AI can be a bit finicky.
Yeah.
How do they make sure the system doesn't mistake, say, a controlled burn or a backyard barbecue for a wildfire threat?
That's where the sophistication of their algorithms comes in. They've trained the AI to differentiate between various types of heat sources and fire behavior patterns.
Oh, okay.
It analyzes factors like the rate of spread, the height of the flames, and even the color of the smoke to determine the level of threat. And it's constantly learning and adapting based on the data it gathers.
It sounds incredibly promising, and I have to admit, a little bit mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But is this system ready to roll out? Has it been tested in real-world conditions yet?
They're gearing up for their first round of testing in Israel starting as early as May of this year.
Okay.
They're targeting areas with a history of wildfires like the Jerusalem area and the Carmel Forest, which are often tinderboxes waiting to ignite.
Right.
The goal is to have a minimum viable product ready for market by late 2025 or early 2026.
That's an ambitious timeline. And what about those of us in the U.S. who are increasingly dealing with these massive wildfires. Any plans to bring FireDome stateside?
They've already got their eyes on California.
Okay.
They're planning pilot programs around Los Angeles and San Francisco, which have unfortunately become almost synonymous with devastating wildfires. These U.S.-based tests are also slated for 2026, so it seems they're really aiming for a rapid global rollout.
Well, I'm definitely eager to see how this technology performs in the field, but assuming it works as well as they're hoping, what kind of impact could FireDome have on the way we fight wildfires?
The potential is enormous. Think about those heartbreaking images we see every year. Homes reduced to ash, entire communities displaced.
Oh, yeah.
FireDome could offer a new level of protection for those vulnerable areas, potentially saving lives, property, and vast swaths of natural landscapes.
That's a game changer, not just for the people living in fire-prone areas,
Yeah.
but also for the firefighters who risk their lives battling these blazes.
Exactly. Instead of being stretched thin trying to contain massive infernos,
Right.
firefighters could have this system as a powerful ally, helping them to focus their efforts more strategically and potentially saving more lives in the process. And if we zoom out to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
this could lead to a significant reduction in the overall economic burden of wildfires.
It's mind-boggling to think that a technology initially developed for intercepting missiles
Yeah.
could hold the key to protecting us from one of nature's most destructive forces.
Yeah.
But like any new technology, I imagine there are challenges and potential downsides.
Oh, of course, FireDome, while incredibly innovative, is still in its early stages. It's essential to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism and consider both the potential benefits and the potential pitfalls.
Well, let's dive into those potential pitfalls and challenges when we come back after a quick break.
One of the biggest challenges, and this is something that will be closely watched during the testing phase, is how FireDome performs in real-world conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wildfires are notoriously unpredictable.
Right.
Wind shifts, terrain variations, and even the types of vegetation burning can all impact a fire's behavior.
You can't really simulate the chaos of a wildfire in a lab setting.
Right.
So how are they accounting for these unpredictable elements?
They're incorporating a lot of data into their AI models. Weather patterns, historical fire data, even real-time satellite imagery
Wow.
are all being fed into the system
So it's constantly learning and adapting.
to help it adapt and make decisions on the fly. But there's always a degree of uncertainty when dealing with nature.
For sure. And what about the fire retardant itself?
Right.
We've talked about it being eco-friendly, but are there any concerns about potential long-term impacts on the environment or wildlife?
That's a valid concern, and it's something that FireDome is taking very seriously.
Okay.
They're working closely with both U.S. and Israeli manufacturers to select an EPA-approved agent that's been rigorously tested for environmental safety.
Good.
They're looking for a retardant that breaks down naturally in the environment and doesn't pose a threat to plants or animals.
So no toxic residue or long-term damage to the ecosystems they're trying to protect?
Right.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
But even with the best fire retardant, I imagine there are limitations to how effective this system can be,
Yeah.
especially when dealing with truly massive wildfires like the ones we've seen in recent years.
Of course, no system is foolproof.
Right.
And FireDome is not a silver bullet solution.
Okay.
It's designed to be a powerful tool in the wildfire fighting arsenal,
Right.
not a replacement for traditional firefighting methods. It's about enhancing our capabilities, not eliminating the need for skilled firefighters on the ground.
So it's like giving firefighters a high-tech shield, not taking them out of the equation altogether. But even if the technology works flawlessly, wouldn't it be incredibly expensive to deploy and maintain?
Right.
Could we actually afford to protect all the areas that are at risk?
That's a key question.
Yeah.
And it's one that will likely play a major role in determining how and where FireDome is deployed.
Okay.
The initial cost of installation and upkeep will undoubtedly be significant.
Right.
But if you consider the potential savings in terms of property damage, firefighting resources, and even lives lost, the long-term economic benefits could be substantial.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a question of shifting our investments from reaction to prevention.
So instead of spending billions on fighting fires after they've started, we could potentially save money and lives by investing in technology that helps prevent them in the first place.
Exactly.
That's a compelling argument, but I imagine there are also regulatory hurdles to overcome.
Absolutely. Getting approval from regulatory bodies, especially in places like the U.S. with strict environmental protection laws, will be a crucial step. And there's also the question of public acceptance.
Oh, right.
People need to be comfortable with the idea of having these systems installed in their communities.
I could see that being a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
Some people might have concerns about privacy, for example,
hmm
with all those sensors constantly monitoring their surroundings.
Transparency and community engagement will be essential.
Yeah.
FireDome will need to clearly communicate how the system works, what data it collects, and how that data is used to ensure public trust.
For sure. And there's always the question of unintended consequences.
Yay.
Anytime you introduce a new technology,
Yeah.
there's a risk of unforeseen side effects, right? Like the classic example of introducing a new species to control a pest, only for that species to become an even bigger problem. So what kind of unintended consequences could we potentially see with a system like FireDome?
One possibility is that people might become complacent, assuming that the technology will protect them no matter what.
Interesting.
This could lead to a decrease in personal responsibility and preventative measures, like clearing brush around homes or adhering to fire safety regulations.
A sort of technological crutch
Right.
that makes people less vigilant about fire safety in general.
Exactly.
That's a valid concern. And what about the potential for this technology to be misused or even weaponized?
Yeah.
Could someone with malicious intent hijack the system
Right.
or use it for purposes other than wildfire prevention?
That's a question that needs to be addressed head on. Any technology as powerful as this has the potential for misuse. FireDome will need to build in robust security measures to prevent hacking or unauthorized access. And there needs to be clear oversight and regulation
For sure.
to ensure that the technology is used responsibly and ethically.
These are all incredibly important considerations, and it's clear that the conversation around FireDome needs to go beyond just the technical aspects. It's about the social, ethical, and even political implications of deploying this kind of technology on a large scale.
Exactly. We need to be thinking about these issues now before this technology becomes widespread. It's about ensuring that we're using it in a way that truly benefits humanity and the environment, not creating new problems in the process.
Well, speaking of potential benefits, I'm curious about the broader applications of this technology.
Wow.
We've been focusing on wildfires, but could a system like this be adapted to address other types of natural disasters?
That's a fascinating question.
Yep.
And one that researchers and innovators are already exploring. The core principles behind FireDome, early detection, rapid response, and targeted intervention, could potentially be applied to a range of natural threats.
For example, what other disasters could we potentially tackle with this kind of approach?
We'll take floods, for instance.
Right?
Imagine a network of sensors that monitor river levels and rainfall patterns, feeding that data into an AI system
Okay.
that can predict flood zones with incredible accuracy.
Wow.
This system could then trigger automated floodgates, deploy inflatable barriers, or even send out targeted alerts to residents in at-risk areas, giving them time to evacuate or prepare.
That's incredible. It's like taking the reactive approach out of disaster management and replacing it with a proactive strategy that anticipates threats and minimizes damage.
Precisely. And the same principles could be applied to landslides. Sensors embedded in hillsides could detect subtle shifts in soil stability, alerting authorities to potential landslide zones before they become catastrophic. This could allow for preventative measures like stabilizing slopes or evacuating at-risk areas, potentially saving lives and infrastructure.
It seems like the possibilities are almost endless, but wouldn't adapting this technology for different types of disasters require a significant amount of research and development? Each disaster has its own unique characteristics and challenges.
Of course, it wouldn't be a simple copy and paste job.
Right.
Each type of disaster would require specialized sensors, algorithms, and response mechanisms.
Okay.
But the fundamental idea of using technology to anticipate, prevent, and mitigate the impact of natural disasters is a powerful one, and it's a shift that could revolutionize the way we approach disaster preparedness and response.
It's like we're moving from an era of simply reacting to disasters
Right.
to an era where we're actively working to prevent them, or at least minimize their impact. And that shift could have enormous implications, not just for saving lives and property, but also for reducing the economic burden of natural disasters on a global scale.
Exactly. Investing in these kinds of technologies could ultimately save governments and communities billions of dollars in recovery costs, and it could help us build a more resilient future where we're better prepared to face the growing challenges posed by climate change and the increasing frequency and intensity of natural disasters.
It's a vision that's both inspiring and a little bit daunting, but it seems like we're on the cusp of a technological revolution in how we deal with natural disasters, and FireDome might just be the spark that ignites it all.
It's an exciting time to be witnessing these developments, and it'll be fascinating to see how these technologies evolve and shape our world in the years to come. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's important to remember that FireDome is still in its early stages,
Right.
and we need to approach it with a healthy dose of both optimism and caution.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the nitty-gritty of FireDome's technology to the broader implications for disaster management and the ethical considerations that come along with such powerful tools.
It's been a truly stimulating conversation, and I'm eager to see what the future holds for this technology and for the field of disaster prevention as a whole.
I couldn't agree more. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to remind our listeners, especially our wildfire enthusiasts and those preparing for the UPSC exams, to share your thoughts on this incredible technology. Head over to our website or social media channels and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your perspectives and keep this important conversation going. What excites you about FireDome?
Yeah.
What concerns do you have? How do you envision this technology shaping the future of wildfire defense and disaster management as a whole?
hmm
We're all part of this conversation, and your insights are incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. We need diverse voices and perspectives to ensure that these technologies are developed and deployed responsibly and ethically.
Now, before we sign off, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the potential economic impact of FireDome.
Okay.
For our UPSC aspirants out there, this is a topic that could definitely pop up in those challenging exams.
Right.
We've talked about the cost savings in terms of property damage and firefighting resources,
Yeah.
but what other economic ripple effects could this technology have?
It's fascinating to consider. Think about the insurance industry, for instance. If FireDome proves effective at reducing wildfire risk, it could significantly impact insurance premiums for homeowners and businesses in fire-prone areas.
Yeah.
We could see a shift towards more affordable insurance options as the perceived risk decreases.
That would be a huge win for people living in those areas.
Right.
Suddenly, places that were once considered too risky or too expensive to insure could become more accessible.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just individual homeowners. Entire industries could be impacted.
Like what?
Tourism, for example, often suffers in regions plagued by wildfires. If FireDome can help mitigate that risk, it could boost tourism revenue and create new economic opportunities in those communities.
It's amazing to think that a technology designed to fight wildfires could have such far-reaching economic consequences. It really highlights the interconnectedness of our world and how a solution in one area can trigger positive changes in seemingly unrelated sectors.
It's a reminder that innovation often has a ripple effect, creating opportunities and challenges that we might not anticipate. And it underscores the importance of approaching these advancements with a holistic perspective, considering not just the immediate impacts, but also the long-term consequences.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into FireDome, I think the biggest takeaway is that we're standing at the precipice of a major shift in how we approach natural disasters. We're moving from a reactive stance to a more proactive and preventative approach, and technology like FireDome is leading the charge.
It's an exciting time to be following these developments, and it'll be fascinating to see how this technology evolves and shapes our world in the years to come.
Well said. And for our listeners, keep those brilliant minds engaged. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.
Absolutely. The future of disaster management is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay tuned for more deep dives into the most captivating and thought-provoking topics out there. We're always exploring the frontiers of knowledge and bringing you the insights that matter.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
See you on the next deep dive.